Moving on now, as the federal government is bent on ending fuel subsidy regime and organized labor is adamant on its opposition to the plan, then we can expect industrial crisis on our hands. The Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, has directed its members, affiliate unions, and civil society organizations to prepare for the planned January 27 and February 1st nationwide protest against the proposed removal of fuel subsidy. The NLC also asks its affiliates across the country to mobilize their members for the rallies and ensure total compliance. How do we avoid this looming logjam? It's a new year. It's a new year, and it's like this is a catch-22 situation. Continue with this fuel subsidy thing, our economy will remain very, very fragile and endangered. Removal of this fuel subsidy, it's another thing, because the people, the low-income earner, we feel it. So that's why the Nigerian Labour Congress is saying, no, this will not work. Nika?
Well, as an individual, I'm still confused exactly what the government is saying or what it wants to do. As I've said here several times, I'm not a mathematician, so I don't know much of mathematics and when it comes to figures. But for those who understand, who have done the calculation, you are going to give 40 million Nigerians, we have not been told how they have identified them, 5,000 every month for the next how many weeks or months, we don't know. But those who understand have calculated it, that the money, assuming you even have those 40 million Nigerians you want to give that 5,000, the 5,000 times 40 million Nigerians you want to give is way ahead what you claim you are using as a subsidy. So why not leave the subsidy and continue with it and leave the 5,000 in government purse? Because the same 5,000 you are talking about and the 40 million that you have not told us how you arrived at those numbers and who is the same way the issue of palliative during the COVID time and the money they said they were school feeding money and all that. So how exactly are we going to arrive at this? What exactly is the government going to do?
I think we're missing something.
Okay.
There. It's not a permanent measure. It's just a temporary measure.
Yes, it's going to last for 6 months or whatever months or whatever days. Okay.
To just tell us, the kind of situation we are in. In the last 7 or 8 years, they've been talking about removal of the subsidy. And I read it that even the international community or our lenders are saying that, look, you must remove subsidy, devalue your naira, and do some other things. Now, this subsidy, the effect is that some people are saying that, look, as we are buying 100 and something naira now, that we might be buying like 300 and something naira. Or 200 or something?
100%.
Do you understand? There's going to be an increase, and that Nigeria is like a country that is the cheapest around the West Africa sub-region.
Look, when they say that, I get more agitated. Listen, Ayo, this subject is a waste of our time on this platform. Now, ask me why. Let's point to just 2 industries in this country. Telecoms. We used to have Nitel. They gave license to the
GSM companies.
Yes. And nobody is complaining. That nobody is talking about subsidies anymore. Ayo, how can you have 4 refineries? They are not producing 1 ounce, 1 liter. And there are people employed there who are getting paid every month.
Fat pay.
Medicals, travel allowance, they are paying NEPA bill in that office. They are spending money for what? And then you are now importing. Practically the only thing that NNPC does now is to maintain the depots, the refineries. You and I, we discussed this early last year. They were going to give them $1.65 billion
They have been given.
For turnaround of what? What are they turning around? Has the money been given? What is the result? So, luckily, the PIA has come. There is NNPC Limited, right? And the board is already in place right now, Abi?
Yes.
Good. So, let them send the thing to the stock exchange. Let people go and buy. We're already having one Dangote somewhere in Lekki. Let other people have their own licenses were given out. They kept telling us there's going to be what you call those little refineries. Nothing has happened. Modular. They're in Port Harcourt. They are picking these boys who refine this thing in a crude, rather than get them together in a combined or cooperative. Run them, get accountants for them, get engineers for them, make them millionaires also. And then we don't have to worry about these things. But some fat cats sit inside that place and they are getting paid for doing nothing. And then they are talking. Who are they? Who is subsidizing who? The money that they are sharing. You recall that the former SLS, former governor of Central Bank, he said, if you look at the ship bathing, right, the capacity of a ship at the port is less than
the number
1/3 of
what they claimed
came into the country. So you see that some people are just stealing money. And the president is the minister of petroleum resources. So what is it? Does it mean that the president is absent-minded? You and I remember that in 2018 or 2017, when the Kachiku, what's his name? Kachiku, was complaining to the president that the MD of GMD of NNPC was bypassing him, and he himself was not even having access to the president, who is the minister. Look, I think we are just wasting time discussing this. They should just scrap this. Let them go home. Let them go home. What is it? Isn't government making money from the telcos?
Because this planned industrial action will put our fragile economy into a more precarious situation. That the organized labor, when they come together, civil society, when they come together and they go on strike, you know what it might cost us.
It will, but at the end of it, what result do we get? It's very unfortunate that it comes to this point, because the government always has its way. Why? If the government wants to sell a commodity for 50 naira, it will put the price at 100. So labor will come out and say, no, we won't agree. You must maintain it at 20, assuming it was 20 before. Then there will be meeting upon meeting and all meeting, and we know what goes on at those meetings. At the end of the day, they will agree. Even that 50 naira that the government was targeting, it might get to 60. They will just say 60. Then neighbor will come and say, okay, we have discussed in the interest of peace and harmony and blah, blah, blah. We are going back to work. Then you ask yourself, why did we go on strike in the first place? But in all this, the poor people are always the one to suffer. They always argue that the poor people are not gaining from it. How many diesel vehicles carry farm commodities in Nigeria? How many? Every day on the road that I see, the vehicles that I see carrying Ewedu, Albosa and the rest of it are mostly cars using petrol. But they will argue that no, it's because people are driving their cars and their cars, that's why they don't want. No. How many of our so-called mass transit buses use diesel? No. See, if the argument is that we've removed the subsidy on diesel and Nigeria has now fallen, it doesn't, it's a wash, as they say on the street. Because those who use diesel use it for generator and big lorries. But the small lorries that carry little pepper and tomato from K2 to wherever, don't use that.
John is calling us from Port Harcourt, River State. Thank you for joining us, John.
Hi, thank you very much. My name is John Ayakilum, and my first time trying to get
happy New Year, John.
Over a month, yeah, over a lot of time. So the thing is this, I just want to, yeah, thank you. I just want to maybe just line up with the conversation Mr. Shotte did. All right, so you see, I did my industrial training. I'm a chemical engineer. I did my industrial training as far back as 2003. In Kaduna State, in Kaduna Refining and Petrochemical Company. You see, people have been working from 2003 till today. Not one production has happened. Not one production has happened
2003.
in that facility.
How many years?
2003 till today. See, I was much more younger person then. And you see, we just waste our time in this country, waste our conversations. I don't even know if people even listen to what people do. Yeah, 2003. This is 2022. I also work in the oil and gas industry.
They might be going on courses.
I was a student in 400 years.
Yes, they do.
Imagine people working for since 2003 to 2022, collecting salary,
doing nothing,
and no work done, no hours of production in that facility. How do you run a country like this?
Justify that kind of redundancy.
It's a waste of time, really. Take out the subsidy, do what the telcos have done, and let us have value. Let us have value for what we pay for. Let us have what we get. Thank you, Ayo. I think I'll just rest my case.
I think about it this way.
He made a major point. Are we ready? If Muhammadu Buhari has, like, let's say, some 16 months or 14 months in office, and he's saying that, look, to save the new administration from any kind of problem, I'm going to take this decision. Do you think we are ready?
Listen.
Taking out that subsidy outrightly.
Ayo, let me backtrack a little bit to go and look at the telcos. NITEL was not dissolved, but licenses was given to other organizations. NITEL died a natural death. We have what is holding these modular refineries from working. What is the problem? Our macroeconomic policies, I'm sorry to say this, but it appears to me that only this governor of central bank seems to be working. Those who run the budget, the planning, the industries, and so on, they don't seem to understand what they are supposed to be doing. You had economic management team, you dissolved it, you now have economic presidential advisory committee that was doing nothing, and you now say the chairman is now the economic advisor. For how many months? Listen, we don't seem to understand that we need to sit down and do something called first principles. You plan what is the first stage, the next stage, and the next stage. I tell you something, we are just recovering from, we have not fully recovered from the disaster of COVID-19. And then you are now saying you want to add. I can tell you, I observed that prices of foodstuffs started going down. Because I deliberately make sure I go to market to have a feel of some of these things. I know that yam that was 2,000 is now going for 1,000 or 1,002. I've seen it. Yes, I bought it so that I can say, I can report it. Yes, Gary that was 2,000 is now 1,000. I bought it so that I can report that I saw it. I bought it. Not that somebody bought it and came to tell me. I have a direct experience of what I'm talking about. And then you now remove this so-called under recovery. That's the language they are using to fool us. They say under recovery of costs. That you are not, that something that, look, I think we are just, this is getting, one should be getting more agitated. Honestly, every day. You want to put people, the economy into a tailspin. In this year of election, there's going to be inflation because a lot of money will be awash in the system, and then you now want to start this again. You can imagine what Nigerians will be going through in this 2022 when that happens. And then the nonsense 5,000 naira they want to give to how many people for how many months? 4 or 5 months or 6 months?
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's
I think they have to put my name on that list because because I'm a Nigerian too. I think I should qualify for that 5,000. Whatever it will do, if it's just to buy me a recharge card.
Even some experts have said that this knee-jerk intervention programs that they might not be
childish.
too. Like,
that's what I'm
giving
saying
people
now.
5,000, giving people 10,000.
To do what? I used to
is
to
more
buy
than what they spend on the so-called subsidy.
Yeah.
So why not retain the subsidy
why don't you just
or
retain
whatever?
it? Otherwise, you are going to turn the
We have
economy
been
to
on this argument since 1992 or 93. You remember the debate between the late, both of them are late now, Abiola and Tofa.
Yeah, 1993.
When Tofa, Abiola asked him that he as an accountant, wants to know how much do you refine this fuel. You cannot put a price to something you don't know how much it costs you to produce. Nobody has ever told us from beginning how much it costs.
Exactly.
I mean, and the NLC came on the platform of the fact that all the 4 refineries, we are going to do it, we are going to refurbish it, we are going to make them.
And nothing has happened.
8 years down the line, we are still talking of the same thing.
So, is it not better for organized labor to sit down with the federal government and they iron this out?
Why is there a need for any discussion in the first place? Why is there a need for this nonsense? I'm sorry to be using this word, but I really feel I'm very angry. Yes.
The Nigerian Labour Congress.
Yes, because my thinking is that they should just sit down. You heard what Yinka just said. The so-called palliative is even more expensive than the subsidy. So what is the sense in it? What is the sense in it? It appears somebody just wants to aggravate Nigerians who are suffering already under scarcity of things. Look, Ayo, I keep telling you on this program, my own father has 2 textile factories. The 2 factories are idle. Nothing is happening there. So in Nigeria, in Ogun State, now how about nobody from government ever came to us and say, wait a minute, what is happening? Why are you not producing? The payee tax that we pay, the company tax that we pay, nobody comes to say, wait a minute,
this company
is not big. What's happened to you? Nobody came. Not even from the state government, not from the local government, not from the federal government.
Because the oil money is there.
Because the oil money is there. So you are going to be throwing money around. Let's sit down and work and run this country. Let's have macroeconomic policies.
There was a time when you go to Ilupeju area of the whole of MP, the whole of Oshodi.
Yes,
the same thing in Kaduna and all that.
That's Oshodi, Ahapa Express Road, textile factories on both sides. None of them is there. They are selling rice and selling cars. They are selling Ororo now and the rest of them.
The way to rule Nigeria now is that if the moment you are bereft of ideas, just go to the oil sector and say you want to remove subsidy and all that, you get more money. Because that is what every government has always been doing.
Nobody's thinking
about it. It's not only this government, it is every government. But some years back, we had a promise that, look, the factory, the refineries that they have been able to, not been able to fix in 16 years, we are going to fix it in 4 years.
Nothing. 8
years down the road.
They now change the make lecture. They say it's no longer subsidiary. Subsidy is under recovery.
Okay, we take